Hello, welcome back to the channel and welcome to Royal Portmannock. Well, not really. I'm still in my shed in Harthausen and it's freezing cold outside. So a big thank you to 247.golf for helping me out with this enclosure because it allows me to get back here making videos a little bit more often. Today I'm here with a bit of a warning. The warning is simply be careful what you wish for. We've been talking in the last couple of weeks about getting into flexion at impact, getting the lead wrist to bend back. And the reason we're doing this is because of this wonderful little gadget they called Hack Motion, which will actually measure what your wrist is doing in real time during your golf swing and allow you to compare it with what golf professionals are doing in their golf swing with their lead wrist. When you work on just one part of your golf swing, you've got to be careful because you might throw the entire swing totally out of whack. What I'm talking about here is getting a balance. We know that the tour professionals are in more or less this position at impact. That means that their lead wrist is bent slightly away from the target in what we call flexion. And by doing that, they are actually de-lofting the golf club, hitting the ball further up the face in the sweet spot, compressing the ball better, getting more ball speed, hitting it further, and that's why we all want to do it. However, you have to be careful because going into flexion with your wrist at impact is closing the club face. And for every part of your body movement which is closing the club face, there is another and has to be another part of your movement which is opening the club face, because otherwise you're not going to get the club face back square on the ball. And this is the warning. If you can do this, but you can't do this, you're stuffed. Because you're not going to be able to balance out what you're doing with your lead wrist with what you're doing with your trail wrist. The majority of hobby golfers are doing exactly the opposite with their trail wrist. They are going into flexion. That means that they're hitting too early, releasing too early. And they're doing this because their bodies are not dominating their golf swings. They're swinging with their arms and their hands. They're trying to hit at the golf ball. How is that going to help then if you are just thinking about what you're doing with your wrist? Well, it's not. Because in truth, although you are making a wrong movement with your trail arm and hand, you're also making a wrong movement with your lead arm and hand, and they're kind of balancing one another out. The trail arm is closing the club face, the lead arm is opening the club face, and the club face is square or closer to square at impact. If you start contradicting this with your lead arm, then you're in for trouble. Because the moment that you try to extend the trail wrist and not allow the lead wrist to go into extension, you're getting closed. And the ball is disappearing in the bushes. I said it before and I'll say it again, but it's very difficult to copy 24-year-old athletes. These elite players are the 1%. And their golf swings are perfectly balanced, not only in the actual distribution of the weight, but in the movements which are closing the club face and the movements which are opening the club face, in the dynamic swing that they're making in hitting the golf ball. In the 5/10 thousandths of a second, everything is in total equilibrium, totally balanced out, and that's why they're hitting the golf ball straight. Can you do this? Take a quick peek in the mirror and see whether the guy or the girl in the mirror is 24 years of age, has been playing since their 4th birthday, and does nothing else but swing a golf club around the neck. Very unlikely. And therefore, you've got to be careful what you wish for Christmas. I'm not convinced that that is the perfect position for everybody if you can't turn your hips, if you can't turn your chest, and if your tendency is to release the golf club far too early in the downswing. It's nice to think and dream of the perfect golf swing. I've been chasing it my entire life, my entire career, and I've still not got there. But you can play very good golf on a golf course with less than a perfect golf swing if you know where the golf ball's going. And you only know where the golf ball's going if you have control over the club face. And there's more than one way to control the club face. It's all about balance, balancing out what your lead side is doing, what your trail side is doing. The movements which are closing the club face, the movements which are opening the club face. And I'm going to talk about that in more detail in the next video. I just wanted to let you all know that you've got to be a little bit careful when you start mucking around with your golf swing, because if you're not careful, you're going to end up causing more damage than you're actually creating improvements in your golf swing. And it's going to be more difficult for you to control where the golf ball's going than it was before, although in the video you seem to have a better position. Hope you liked it. If you did, hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so, because otherwise you're not going to know when I post my next video explaining the balance in the golf swing in a little bit more detail. And of course, a big thank you to all of the patrons who supported the channel the whole year and years before it. Thank you, everybody who does that. If you would like to become a patron to the channel, I'll leave a link below for that. Until the next time, good night.